Everybody gonna get in line and do right. Enough ass. Everybody gonna get in line. And when we whoop enough ass, everybody gonna get in line and do right.
That's the same. Fireplace one is up there. Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, family. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today or this evening as we come and put this presentation together. And in Shalom. And so we're going to get this and put this presentation together. And so this evening, we're talking about what is the judgment? What is your judgment of white America? And we're going to be showing a few videos and talking about a few things so that we can get a good understanding of what has white America done to even be deserving of a judgment. Why is that question even relevant? Because I'm quite sure some people look at that and say, well, Muhammad, that's not even a relevant question, but it is very relevant. Let's start out with our brother.
Before we get ready to go, my wife was here, and she was the president of the Association of Black Psychologists a couple of years ago, and she was responsible for taking about 500 people, including about 300 black psychologists, to Ghana, West Africa, for their national conference. The reason I point that out is because I want to say a couple of things, and I'm going to go out of bounds with what I have to say relative to what we've been talking about. First of all, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I saw, looking back on my life, I saw about 30 of my friends die, getting shot, overdosing on drugs, any number of things that took them off the planet, beautiful brothers. So as I started to become more conscious, I looked around, I started asking this very important question. I think the most important question that I ask myself and that you can ask yourself is why? And I wanted to find out what was going on. So I began to change. I began to examine everything. I don't like to use the word critically, but I started to really check things out. So I went through a very, very serious change. Serious change. And what my wife and I did, we decided that we were going to drop out from the system. We delivered two of our 3 children at home using midwives. She didn't take any medication. We didn't go to a doctor. She talked me into doing that, but it was a beautiful experience for me to be there to help deliver our children. They were born, by the way, 2 years apart on the same day, and our oldest daughter helped us deliver our children. We also changed our diets. We saw the hospital system was killing our people, so we changed our diets. We have been vegan for about 30 years. That means no meat at all in any form, no dairy products, no sugar, no white flour, the same thing that Dr. Whitaker talked about. Because we understood that we were in a war. And I want to emphasize that to you. We are in a war. We left New York and went to North Carolina, and really it's on her again, we decided that we were not going to go in debt because the new form of slavery was economic slavery. But we got some land, we were very fortunate, and we built our own house. We built a log house. It took us 16 months. We worked night and day, every day for the 16 months. And she was out there with a chainsaw in the cold, in the rain, and we worked and we built the house so we would not have to give white people any money. I taught on the college level for a number of years at a so-called black college, and I'm down against black colleges. I'm going to tell you straight up, because some of the madness that's going on in these schools. But what I want to say is that there are 2 things going on the planet now. One is that when white people came to us and said we're going to free you. We're going to emancipate you from the plantation. What they did was extended the boundaries of the plantation and made it an international plantation. Made us think that we were free. In addition to that, they made every white person on earth a plantation master or owner. So there are two things in operation. We are in an international prison. Not just in America, but everywhere we go, our people are dying. So the things that are in operation on this planet is that white people want to kill us. I want you to understand that. They want to kill you. And it has nothing to do with what the kind of degree you have, what kind of car you have, what kind of title you have, what fraternity you belong to, what religion you belong to. They want to kill you because that is part of their plan. There are any number of reasons why they want to do that. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure out why they want to kill us. But I know that's what they want to do. And they want to do it in many different ways. Psychological, economic, cultural, spiritual, social, and biological, chemical, electromagnetic. They want to kill you. But they also want to make money in the process of your death. Now, I saw a brother when I was coming in, he was smoking a cigarette. So now he's going to kill himself, but they're going to make money off of his death process. The other thing is that they want us to, if they don't kill us, like they tried to kill the brother by beating him up in New Orleans, if they don't kill us that way, or shooting like they killed the brother in Cincinnati, or like they killed Malice Green in Detroit, or like they killed Greenwich up in Pittsburgh, if they don't come out right and kill us straight, they want to get us to kill ourselves. Now, these are the only two operations on the planet. The other thing is that there's only one nigger on the planet. I never use that word. This is the first time I've used it. I don't even think that word, but there's only one nigger on the planet. And the nigger that's on the planet is the one that is destroying the water, the one that's polluting the air, the one that is exploiting people and resources. And the only nigger on the planet is the white man and the white woman. And then our people are not niggers. We are imitation niggers. Now, what we have to do is we have to devise a system or a plan for ourselves. And I said earlier that each one of you is a system. And everything that you do, every thought that you think, either you are supporting white world terror domination by your actions, what you buy, what you wear, where you go, what you eat, how you use your time. You are either supporting the white people in their process of death, or you're for African liberation. It's one or the other. And if we don't use our time wisely, then we are engaging in a form of subtle suicide. Because as I said earlier, their system is still going on. They still have these images on TV that are going on. They're still warehousing our children in the special ed, giving them Ritalin. There are no jobs. We fill in the hospitals. So their system is not stopping. And then finally, I want to say that we need one idea. And we're not thinking about a solution to the problem. We're dealing with all these other things, but these are diversions from the solution to the problem. And we have to start to think about a solution to the problem so that these young brothers and sisters who are here now, who are 15, 16, and 17, are not here 25 years later talking about these same problems. Now, how do I know that the white people know that we are going to come up with a solution to the problem? I know it because they have retina scans, they have what they call racial profiling, DNA banks, and they're monitoring our people to try to prevent the one person from coming up with the one idea. And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted from coming up with a solution to the problem. And the problem on the planet is white people.
All right. Now, our brother very clearly stated a few things. One is that we are in a war. Two is that our enemy is trying to kill us all. They're not trying to kill some. They're trying to kill us all. They don't give a damn how it's done. Only thing they care about is that it is done. Complete, finished, kaput. That is over and done with. Now, everywhere you go, well, before I get into that, brother also said that when they freed us from the plantation, or emancipated us from the plantation, what they did is made every white person on the planet a slave master, made them a plantation owner. So when you look at these devils and how they deal with us and how they talk to us, nigger this and nigger that, and, you know, being very aggressive like they own you. Because as we have stated before, they have this predetermined notion to do whatever they want to do to you, and what? It's okay. Like that one cracker said, I didn't do nothing but shoot a nigga. That's all I did. And went back to go finish eating his dinner. But everywhere there is a battlefield. And it doesn't matter whether this battlefield that you're on is a physical one, it is a mental one, it is a spiritual one. Every place there is a battlefield. And in our next video, you see this play out.
All right, Earl. Well, a suspected drug.
Now, this cracker and our sister is on the battlefield in front of the world. Mentally, she has to defeat him in front of the world because he is trying to say that she didn't do right. So just watch for yourself. This is a battlefield. And again, we have to prepare for each and every battlefield.
A dealer tries to use a Midtown daycare for cover. Police say Terrell Phillips was selling crack cocaine on Peach Street Tuesday, and they saw him doing it. And he took off. They followed him, and he made a run inside of Midtown Daycare Center. Trey Paul live at that daycare center with the director this morning. So I can only imagine they must have been wondering what was going on there, Trey.
They are. Terry Oliver's here with us, Ernie. She's going to help us understand what exactly happened. How did this guy get in, Terry?
Actually, our door was locked, and we keep it locked every day. He came to the door and knocked on the door and rang the doorbell, and we came to the door and said, "How can I help you?" And he kind of pushed his way in, and we said, "How can I help you?" And he said, "I need to use the restroom."
Was he using the intercom at that point? You asked. So you opened the door for this stranger.
Well, we opened the door for a person who could have been patronizing our business, because we're servicing 82 students. We don't know every parent, every grandparent, every mother, every father. So we opened the door and said, "How may I help you?" It is a viable business. And so most businesses open doors and ask questions. How can I help you?
Who made the call to let this guy in that they've never seen before?
Actually, this person who came to our center could potentially be a client. And so since we are a business, when a potential client, or all of our customers are strangers until we know them, we open the door and say, "How may I help you?" Because to you, it's a stranger. To us, it's a potential client. And the cameraman's a stranger today. So if he came to our door, our first question would be, "How can I help you?" Because it's a business.
Does the intercom work? I mean, do you have the ability to say, "How can I help you?" from the outside, and then question and screen the person before you actually let them in?
Absolutely. We do have that option. However, when someone comes to our door, we find it a little bit more welcoming to peek, just barely open the door and say, "How can I help you?" And that's what we did on yesterday. and then he pushed his way into our center, and our staff perfectly executed our plan and said, you can't come in, you can't use our restroom. Not a child was injured, not a teacher was injured. Our staff was perfect in the execution of our safety plan, and I'm very proud of that.
Let me ask you this. Will things change now? Will you screen the person from the inside and use that intercom now versus letting them in? Will you be a little more apprehensive about letting someone actually come in the door?
This is a viable business, I'll say again, and so we'll welcome customers into our center. We'll execute our safety plan just like we did on yesterday, and we'll continue to say, how may I help you? And our prayer is that it will be an exchange like it has been for the last 21 years. We try our best, just like any school, kind of like Sandy Hook's. I think we actually did better than that because he was actually able to get into that building and harm children. And our staff, once again, perfectly executed our safety plan. Perfectly. This is a business. And so we welcome customers, and every customer is a stranger until we get to know them. Absolutely. So we'll review our system, but I actually think our system worked perfectly. Not a child was injured. Not a parent was injured. Not a teacher was injured. No one was injured. And we've been here 21 years, and I stand firm on the fact that we executed our safety plan perfectly.
Would it have been perfect if you'd said, how can I help you from the inside versus opening the door and just using the intercom only and extending to them and being welcoming that way versus opening the door?
I think that could have possibly been another news story, or something with the Better Business Bureau. We're coming into your business or asking to come into your business and to see your business and say, hi, how can I help you? We want to know about your business, and we're talking to them through a door. I'm not sure if that's best business practice, but what I do know is best business practice is to have a safety plan in place. We had it in place. To execute a safety plan, it was executed. To keep all of the children safe in our building, they were. To make sure that no adult was injured and no adult or child was. So business is business. This is a viable business for the last 21 years, and every child was safe.
Last question for you. What do you say to the parents who say, this just isn't good enough? I would have preferred to have talked to the person through the door, through the intercom versus opening the door.
Well, like I said again, that's something that we can consider. We have a very viable parent organization, a PTA. And so I'm expecting those parents to come in and have dialogue with me on how we could make sure that something like this doesn't happen again, that a person gets into our building. But I'm sure that they're pleased. I know they are because I spoke with every one of them myself, that no child was injured, no adult was injured, that nothing happened to any person that we're responsible to care for. We cared for them. We executed their plan. I can't say that enough about how proud I am. And I'm interested to have dialogue in our city about what will our mayor do about, or whoever, about having a sting operation so close to a child care center because they were chasing him. So close to a school. And so those are the types of things I'd love to see our city not only have dialogue with child care centers about, but about with our city in general. How are we going to address crime in our city? Because it's not a daycare issue. It's really a crime in our city issue. We executed our plan and executed it well.
Thank you for speaking to us. We know you didn't have to. We appreciate you talking to us this morning. All right, Terrell Phillips, the man police arrested. It's supposed to be in court today. We'll let you know what happens. Live in Midtown, I'm Trey Paul. Good morning, Memphis.
Now, I'm quite sure this good sister is probably now, after she done got off camera, done cussed his ass out so many different times. But I said to you before, this is a war. And every spot is a battlefield. And you just witnessed a battle going on back and forth right in front of the TV. And this was broadcast locally. And as well, once it got up to Facebook, it was out there. And as you can see, over 19,000 views here on YouTube. So she understood what this cracker was trying to do, to say that, hey, look, your shit wasn't right. It was inferior. And you let the dude into the door. So you should have used the intercom system. And she kept saying over and over, this is a business. This is a viable business. Everybody was safe. Everybody was secure. He wasn't happy with that. He wants to double down. Then she even had to go into and give an example. She gave the example of Sandy Hook, where, the cracker came in there and he killed up at least 20 children. At least 20 children. I don't know how many adults were killed, but at least 20 kids were killed. Children were killed. None of them, if you go back and look at the interview that the teachers and the staff gave, none of them gave those people, those demons, an interview like this cracker gave our sister. But let's watch it again and break it down.
All right, Earl. Well, a suspected drug dealer tries to use a Midtown daycare for cover. Police say Terrell Phillips was selling crack cocaine on Peach Street Tuesday, and they saw him doing it. And he took off. They followed him, and he made a run inside a Midtown daycare center. Trey Paul live at that daycare center with the director this morning. So I can only imagine they must have been wondering what was going on there, Trey.
Now, I want to stop right here because one thing that the news do, they never, well, I can't say never, but for the most part, they don't phrase what's going on in the proper way. They just don't do it. And so instead of them telling you that the police set up a sting operation, as the sister said, right down the street from a school or / daycare, they make it seem like, oh, he was just out there selling drugs and got caught. It's just like when President Bush Sr., when he was president, and they lured a black man to go down to the White House to sell some drugs in front of the White House. They lured him down there to go do it. It was all a setup. It was all a setup. He was foolish enough to fall for it. But he get down there to do the drug deal. Next thing you know, police come out everywhere. Boom, 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 boom. And then the president get on TV and saying they're selling drugs in front of the White House. What was the message? The niggas are out of control. They're selling drugs in front of our White House. We got to clamp down on the niggas. See, there's always the underlying message. You got to get the niggas. The niggas are no good. They this, they that. They are the wretched of the planet. They sow this theme no matter where they go. And that theme is the justification for their murder of us, for their straight up killing of us.
They are. Terry Oliver's here with us, Ernie. She's going to help us understand what exactly happened. How did this guy get in, Terry?
Actually, our door was locked, and we keep it locked every day. He came to the door and knocked on the door and rang the doorbell. And we came to the door and said, "How can I help you?" And he kind of pushed his way in. And we said, "How can I help you?" And he said, "I need to use the restroom."
Was he using the intercom at that point? You asked. So you opened the door for this stranger.
Well, we opened the door for a person who could have been patronizing our business.
Okay.
Now, see, I'm going to just stop it right quick because he's like, well, you open the door for a stranger. And again, as she says, this is a business. And she goes about and she breaks it down of why they cracked the door.
Because if we're servicing 82 students, we don't know every parent, every grandparent, every mother, every father. So we opened the door and said, "How may I help you?" It is a viable business. And so most businesses open doors and ask questions. How can I help you?
Who made the call to let this guy in that they've never seen before?
Now, he didn't even, she was talking and he just snatched the mic, pulled the mic back, and then he started talking, cut her straight off because he wasn't reaching his objective, which is to destroy her, to make her look stupid on the TV.
Actually, this person who came to our center is could potentially be a client. And so since we are a business, when a potential client, or all of our customers are strangers until we know them, we open the door and say, "How may I help you?" Because to you, it's a stranger. To us, it's a potential client. And the cameraman's a stranger today. So if he came to our door, our first question would be, how can I help you? Because it's a business.
Does the intercom work? I mean, do you have the ability to say, how can I help you from the outside, and then question and screen the person before you actually let them in?
Absolutely. We do have that.
You know, if I could, I'm going to just back this up just a little bit, because if I could read her mind, I'm quite sure she's thinking like, nigga, what? I mean, the face that she has when he's starting all over again, you know, because they want to pester you to make you say what they want you to say.
Say, how can I help you from the outside, and then question and screen the person before you actually let them in.
Absolutely. We do have that option. However, when someone comes to our door, we find it a little bit more welcoming to peek, just barely open the door and say, how can I help you? And that's what we did on yesterday. And then he pushed his way into our center, and our staff perfectly executed our plan and said, you can't come in, you can't use our restroom. Not a child was injured, not a teacher was injured. Our staff was perfect in the execution of our safety plan. And I'm very proud of that.
Let me ask you this. Will things change now? Will you screen the person from the inside and use that intercom now versus letting them in? Will you be a little more apprehensive about letting someone actually come in the door?
Now, you would normally think that after the person tells you everything worked perfectly, no child was injured, he got stopped at the door, turned around, couldn't come in, everything was moving, everything worked fine. But no, the cracker said that ain't good enough. And as you're listening to what she's dealing with, how many times have you yourself been in that same damn situation where everything worked out fine, but the cracker that you talking to or the over you didn't like it? Then it's still a problem because it wasn't done the way that they think it should be done.
This is a viable business, I'll say again. And so we'll welcome customers into our center. We'll execute our safety plan just like we did on yesterday. And we'll continue to say, how may I help you? And our prayer is that it will be an exchange like it has been for the last 21 years. We try our best, just like any school, kind of like Sandy Hooks. I think we actually did better than that because he was actually able to get into that building and harm children. And our staff, once again, perfectly executed our safety plan. Perfectly. This is a business. And so we welcome customers, and every customer is a stranger until we get to know them. Absolutely. So we'll review our system, but I actually think our system worked perfectly. Not a child was injured, not a parent was injured, not a teacher was injured, no one was injured. And we've been here 21 years, and I stand firm on the fact that we...
Now, we see that she threw out Sandy Hooks. Now, she had to, because she realized this crack ain't letting up. So let me give you an example of how the shit that you talk about don't work. And the shit that we did, it actually worked.
Executed our safety plan perfectly.
Would it have been perfect if you'd said, how can I help you from the inside versus opening the door and just using the intercom only and extending to them and being welcoming that way versus opening the door?
I think that could have possibly been another news story, or something with the Better Business Bureau. We're coming into your business or asking to come into your business and to see your business and say, hi, how can I help you? We want to know about your business. And we're business for the last 21 years, and every child was safe.
Last question for you. What do you say to the parents who say, this just isn't good enough? I would have preferred to have talked to the person through the door, through the intercom versus opening the door. Well,
like I said again, that's something that we can consider. We have a very viable parent organization, a PTA. And so I'm expecting those parents to come in and have dialogue with me on how we could make sure that something like this doesn't happen again, that a person gets into our of them myself, that no child was injured, no adult was injured, that nothing happened to any person that we're responsible to care for. We cared for them. We executed their plan. How proud I am. And I'm interested to have dialogue in our city about what will our mayor do about or whoever about having a sting operation so close to a child care center because they were chasing him, so close to a school. And so those are the types of things I'd love to see our city not only have dialogue with child care centers about, but about with our city in general. How are we going to address crime in our city? Because it's not a daycare issue. It's really a crime in our city issue. We executed our plan and executed it well.
Thank you for speaking to us. We know you didn't have to. We appreciate you talking to us this morning. All right, Terrell Phillips, the man police arrested. It's supposed to be in court today. We'll let you know what happens. Live in Midtown, I'm Trey Paul. Good morning, Memphis.
See, everywhere is a battlefield, and we have to be prepared to be able to defeat them on each and every battlefield, because these beasts, they rely on what their ancestors have done, on what previous generations have done. And so we know those previous generations, you know, it's easy to bully and fight somebody who's not fighting you back. Well, this time we're different. This time it's a different mentality, a different total outlook on how we have to be in dealing with these beasts. Now, here's another video, and this brother handled it on his battlefield this way.
Eat a dick, you
You're
faggot.
entertaining me. Come on.
No, you're entertaining
You
yourself,
racist motherfucker.
faggot.
Come on, keep
Eat
talking.
a dick. Your
You
mama, your
racist
sister,
motherfucker. Keep talking.
Eat a
You're
dick.
gonna be on the internet.
Fuck you, nigga.
You're gonna be on the
Eat
internet.
a dick, faggot.
You're gonna be very famous
Eat a
very
dick,
soon.
faggot, soon. Don't
Yeah,
come
you're
next to
gonna
me,
be
'cause I'll
famous.
break your fucking mouth, nigga. I'll break your mouth, bitch.
You want that on video too?
I'll put it on.
Assault?
I'll break your fucking mouth.
That will be.
Your fucking mouth.
Go ahead, do
Or
it.
you move back to
You
that
haven't
seat.
touched me yet.
Or you move back to that seat.
You're a pussy. Because if you touch me,
So come here.
I
then.
guarantee you'll be in jail tonight.
Faggot, you pussy.
If you touch me, you will be in jail tonight. I guarantee you.
Because you're a faggot, pussy. I won't put
If
you
you
in jail.
touch
I'll
me,
just beat
you will be
the fuck down.
locked up. You will be
I'll
locked
beat you the
up.
fuck down.
And I'm smiling
Like,
at
and
you.
I'm gonna say it again. You faggot Jewish bitch. Where should I say it at? How close should I say it to this? You faggot Jewish bitch. Shut the fuck up. I'll break your fucking face. Bitch. All you Jewish fucking crackers. Bitch.
You want to get out of
Shut the fuck up before I slap you right now. I slap your ass right out. I'd slap you the fuck out. I won't even punch you. I slap you the fuck out. Like I said, you faggot Jewish bitch.
You don't want to do that in my face.
Fuck you, faggot.
You got in my face right now.
Eat a dick, nigga.
Yeah?
Eat a dick.
Really?
Dick.
Oh, no, you spit on me, man.
Fuck you, nigga.
You just spit on me.
Eat a dick.
You just spit on me, man. You just fucking spit on me.
Shut up. Fucking slap me.
You're still on video, by the way.
Yo, listen, yo. If you're gonna start something with the come off this train, I'll fuck you up.
You shut up. You shut up.
Okay, I don't know what's going on, but we're obviously having computer issues because, let me see.
Don't fuck with me. Just hit my head. Don't touch me. Chill out. Touch me, you're gonna hurt. Don't touch me. You know what? No, you don't hit me now. I hit you yet. Don't touch me. Boy, you deal with him. But you hit me. Fuck what I did. Don't touch me. Hey, you touch me.
That's right. Because you hit me. He didn't touch me, so he's lucky. Oh, let the fucking door close. Dude, I'm calling the cops. I don't care. I'm not letting it go. Get the fuck out and call the cops.
I don't hit if I don't say.
Where's my juke cap? Number one. Where's my juke cap?
I don't know what you're talking.
You knocked it off. Listen, either fucking let the door close or get out.
Okay, so as you just saw that, even on this video where the brother was dealing on his battlefield on the subway. Now, how you handle your inner reaction, your action is how you need to handle it. But you just got to remember that you need to stand your ground. You need to stand your ground, and to hell with anything else. You have to be able to understand that, because the enemy, what the enemy desires for you is to make you break. The enemy desires for you to punk out, because if you stand strong, then they can't make their will, they can't force their will onto you. They won't be able to do it if you stand strong. And so there's always this battle to break you. If they can break you mentally, then they know it's over. Before that they can beat you physically, they have to be able to break you mentally. They have to be able to break you spiritually, because it is through the spiritual and the mental strength that will give you the strength to physically destroy them. So they always look to try to break you down that way first before it goes to the physical level. Now, maintaining on our subject, we all know that you have real Jews and you have the fake Jews. You have those who are stealing a birthright that does not belong to them. Okay. Then they go around and they talk about this Holocaust. They talk about this Holocaust and they claim that the Jewish Holocaust is the worst Holocaust that has ever happened on this planet, when that's just not true. The worst Holocaust that has ever happened on this planet, it was done to you and me. That's just an actual fact. That's just an actual fact. And as we continue we need to be able to make it stop, because there is nobody else on this planet that's going to make it stop except for us.
All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, lately, the Jewish community, along with everybody else, have been trying to flex on us and exercise their muscle and their dominance over us. They try to tell us how we should feel, just like everybody else, and tell us what we can and what we can't say. They feel as though they can check us anytime we do something they don't like. First of all, let me say this. Until the Jewish community come breaking off some of that reparation money they got, including from what was supposed to be the first black president, I'm not even
All right, family. I think we are back. I've never had this happen to me before, that during a live, the thing just shuts down. But I believe we are back. Let's see. Okay, so we're back. So let's get back to where we were. It's like YouTube does everything possible. I don't. Okay, sorry, family. We are just having technical difficulties right now. And YouTube is full of shit. They want to stop our message. And this is clear because of so many different things that they're doing, no matter where we put up a video, or, you know, because we have other people also that's putting up our videos when we send them out. And then some of those videos get flagged, some don't get flagged. You know, last time Now, this is a good example. This is a very good example of why it is so hard, because the enemy tries to stop you at each and every turn. He doesn't want you to be successful. He doesn't want your eyes to wake open. He don't want you to wake up. He wants you to stay asleep. And, you know, they do things to corrupt the message. They want to corrupt the delivery of that message.
All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, lately, the Jewish
Try this thing again.
Community, along with everybody else, have been trying to flex on us and exercise their muscle and their dominance over us. They try to tell us how we should feel, just like everybody else. and tell us what we can and what we can't say.
Money, everything is kosher. Well, James, who has more than 45 million Instagram followers, told ESPN, quote, "Apologies for sure if I offended anyone," end quote. He added that it wasn't his intention to hurt anyone.
Now, this community gets fake outrage out of nowhere and go around demanding apologies from everybody, from people like Michael Jackson, who was just defending them in his songs, to Jay-Z, who was just talking about black people being financially literate, to people like HQ back in 91. They even went in on Larry David, one of their own, just for a sketch he did on SNL. I know people like to say black people are the only people who do such and such, but we're not. Everybody else does the same thing we do. We're just not in a position that we can do what everybody else does. But they threaten and demand apologies from all these people. Meanwhile, they won't even recognize, let alone apologize for their role to help build a white supremacist nation. They haven't apologized or denounced or even recognized their role for helping kidnap people from Africa. During the time period where the most people were kidnapped from Africa, Jewish people were the main investors in companies like the Royal African Company. And not only did they invest with the English, they also invested with the Dutch. They were major investors in the Dutch East and West India Company. And in America, there were plenty of Jewish slave owners. Their doctrine and these minstrel shows started to take off. It was Jewish people that were one of the main groups that was putting on blackface.
Home, an open house for the Jewish celebration of Purim. Costumes worn like Halloween. Hyken wore an afro wig, brown face paint, sunglasses, and an orange jersey. Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver says Hyken's actions were inappropriate and offensive.
Clearly, there are people out there who, were offended. By the way, it wasn't meant to be funny or anything like that. It was just meant to get dressed up for Purim and to look in a way, in a fashion that I would not be recognizable as I do every single year.
Assemblyman Kareem Kamara says he hopes the apology is a first step.
I'm hoping that it forces a dialogue on why the depiction was so offensive in the first place.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I've never had this kind of problem like this before. And out of all of my YouTube videos, I've never had this type of problem. You know, family, again, I apologize for the technical difficulties that we're having tonight, but, you know, YouTube is trying to stop the message. And they're doing a pretty damn decent job of it tonight. The whole thing is just, I'm not even in the goddamn in the mood to even continue. I'm not even in the goddamn mood to continue. They done pissed me off so damn bad, mess up the whole flow with their goddamn foolishness. And knowing the time that it is, you know, it's just motherfuckers, boy. But as I said, everywhere, every place is a battlefield. And that's no secret to where we are here. This is a battlefield. This is a battlefield. And, you know, we're working on getting our own website together so we'll be able to broadcast live from our own website. I don't know exactly how this overall message is going to turn out because the pieces that I wanted to use, it doesn't seem like I'll be able to actually use them. So let me try one other thing. Okay. Let me try one other thing. In American prisons today, and this is not something new, but they have been doing experiments on people. And of course, the prisons are consumed with our people. So unfortunately, our people have been the ones that have been taking the biggest brunt of these experiments. And I had a video that I wanted to show. I'll try and see if we can get that video up. But I wanted to show it so that you can see yourself exactly what is going on, so that there will be no misunderstanding. Because America, these demons have been doing experimentations on us. And our family, we suffer from that. No matter whether they're doing it to you and you're behind the bars or you're not behind the bars. Their experimentations continue. And at some point, we have to get tired and enough is enough. At some point, you got to be able to say, this is it. I'm not doing this any longer. I'm not going to keep having this back and forth. These demons are incapable of loving you. You understand? They are incapable of loving you. They don't love you. They hate you. They desire. They desire your death, our death. And this is the reality of it. There was a prison called Holmesburg Prison back in the city of Philadelphia, built in 1896, and it was up working until 1955. It was located on Torresdale Avenue in the city of Philadelphia. And they were conducting experimentation on our people. And I'm going to try to play this video and let you see for yourself exactly what is going on or what was going on there. And it has not stopped. It's in other prisons going around. It's in other cities for those people who are not in prison. But these experiments is going around. Don't forget, they just experimented on our people in Baltimore with the quote unquote free housing. But when your baby gets sick, you got to take them to this clinic only. These people have not changed. You have to wake up and understand what is being done to you, against you.
in excruciating pain and with long-term health problems. Our guests are Alan Hornblum, author of Sentenced to Science, One Black Man's Story of Imprisonment in America. He's the first person to shine a light on this dark chapter in American medical history. Also with us is Eddie Anthony, now known as Yusuf Anthony. His story is the focus of Hornblum's book, which is published by Penn State Press. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Good to be with you, Patty.
Well, how did you first learn that Holmesburg prison inmates were being used as test subjects?
Well, I witnessed it. I was actually just out of graduate school, and I decided in the early 70s that I wanted to do some positive work for society rather than completing my graduate education. So I started working in the Philadelphia prisons, and it was on my initial tours through the complex of prisons in Philly that I saw scores of men wearing adhesive tape and bandages and all sorts of wraps around. That's just the perfume test for the University of Pennsylvania. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, they're doing perfume experiments. And it was so ridiculous to see these men who were, in many cases, killers and rapists and burglars and robbers, testing perfume. I couldn't imagine it. But in fact, what I had learned was that experiments had been going on, medical experiments, serious invasive procedures, for 20 years before I ever got there.
And not just cosmetics and perfumes.
Absolutely. I thought that was in the minority if there was any perfume. They were doing just anything you can imagine, from the innocuous to the truly dangerous.
Now, was this an anomaly in Holmesburg prison, or is this something that's gone on in other prisons across the country?
It was widespread in the Cold War years in America. From the end of the Second World War to the mid-70s, at least half the states had one prison that were hosting prison medical experiments. Pennsylvania, unfortunately, led the way with at least 10 prisons that were doing this. And it was quite common during those post-war years where institutionalized populations were being used as human guinea pigs by the medical community.
Your book really is an indictment of the Philadelphia prison system and the medical community. How did the two come to work together?
Well, it was obviously a marriage of convenience. There were folks in the pharmaceutical community and the medical community who wanted to do clinical trials. The University of Pennsylvania is a big research operation, so it was convenient to them and everybody if they could find cheap and available test subjects, and that's what the prison system afforded them. The inmates themselves were desperate to make money, not particularly well educated, so they naturally gravitated to a test where they could make far more money being a guinea pig than they could pushing a broom on a cell block.
Was it money that lured you to do your first test?
Yes, it was money, and the fact that I didn't have people coming up to visit me at the time to put money on the books for me so I could go to the commissary at the store. And also there was that got into my bloodstream and it poisoned me. And I'm still suffering from that particular test right now today. My hands and stuff broke out, my feet.
If we had a shot of your fingernails, we can see that your fingernails are rougher than normal
and
fingernails.
They were a half-inch thick.
And these look good now. These look good now compared to the way they were when I was incarcerated and through the years. You know, they was like my one finger was the size of two fingers, and my fingernails was growing like claws. And in fact, before my hands and feet broke out, my whole body was inflamed. After the poison got into my system, it was benzoids and isotopes in the chemicals in the can, and I was sensitive to it.
Is it likely that he really wasn't testing bubble bath?
Probably was not, but we don't know for sure. These men were actually treated like guinea pigs. They weren't told exactly what where dioxin was being placed on their faces and backs. So in many cases, just like you would not tell a guinea pig, this is what I'm going to do to you today, they did this with human beings in the prison system.
And it wasn't just the University of Pennsylvania Medical School involved in this. It was also the Army and the CIA. There was military testing going on as well.
If you were in the business of testing products or wanting to put a product on the market, you knew about Dr. Kligman, University of Pennsylvania, and Holmesburg Prison. They were infamous, notorious in the field of human experimentation. So you had Dow Chemical in Michigan coming to Philadelphia. You had R.J. Reynolds in North Carolina for tobacco cancer tests coming to Philadelphia. You had the Army in Edgewood Arsenal.
That we didn't have a case or way to go, get accomplished for what we went through. But after the book came out, we decided to come up with a class action lawsuit because we found it's a law called the rule of discovery. We thought we had signed away our rights when we were incarcerated, and we found out that the papers that they used was illegal. But when the book came out, it pointed, to the direction that they had misused us. So we came up with the class action lawsuit, but we never got through the courts. You know what I mean?
Well, you bring up an interesting point. One of the hallmarks of the Nuremberg medical trials from 1933 to 1945, Nazi doctors used concentration camps in much the way as the Holmesburg prisons were used, was a code of ethics. And one of the codes is informed consent.
First principle.
Right.
Explain what that is, and then I want
proper research medicine is like. We executed 7 of them. Then we write this excellent code of 10 principles, but we never bought into it ourselves. It was remarkable. We told other countries how to do it. Many of them bought into it, but we ourselves moved into the Gilded Age of research in the 1950s, where we were using retarded subjects, we were using the emotionally disturbed, we were using pregnant women, all sorts of people who were institutionalized were grist for the research mill, and that was very sad. With regard to that first principle, it also goes into the fact that the test subjects should not be in a confined or coercive environment, which is particularly poignant to the story of Acres of Skin and Sentenced to Science. Our history of using prison inmates is a pretty bleak one, and unfortunately the government is actually thinking of returning to it again. So it's something that Yusef and I are very much opposed to.
What did you think you were getting into?
Well, they coerced you to believe that the tests were safe, and you weren't taking a chance or anything. But when you go over there, they gave you a simple piece of paper that read like, if something was to happen to you after the test, you can't hold the University of Pennsylvania responsible. So right there, you would automatically question it. I thought they were safe. they tell you this is just a formality. Just, you just have to have your signature to make it believe that it was, everything was all right. But after they got you over there, and if you got sick, they didn't have no aftercare in place or nothing. This happened to me in 1964, and here it is, 2007. I'm still suffering from that.
I want to get back to that in just a moment. This is Pennsylvania Inside Out on WPSU. I'm Patty Satalia. In his new book, Sentenced to Science, author Alan Hornblum tells the disturbing story of Eddie Anthony's days as a Holmesburg prison test subject. The book is a searing indictment of the criminal justice and medical communities that disdainfully used Philadelphia inmates as human guinea pigs in an array of unethical and questionable experiments. Our guests are author Alan Hornblum and former test subject Eddie, now Yusuf Anthony. Despite the experience of your first test, and I have to say that your inmates, your cellmates, were fortunate enough to undergo more innocuous tests, you signed up to do more because the need for money in prison is a strong one.
And prison being such a dangerous place. You had the test offered you a thing of being independent, where you didn't have to depend on friends or other inmates, and it was a corrupt environment. So if you had money on the books, this put a little safety on your stay in incarceration. So, like after the money runs out, which was a little bit of money for each test.
Give us an idea of what you might get paid.
Well, the first test I was on, in which I'm still suffering from today, this was 1964, I got something like $30-something. I didn't have to participate in the whole test because of the fact I broke out so bad about the first week. And they told me, well, you don't have to do the rest of the test. And we're going to pay you the whole amount. The whole amount was $30-something for 21 days. Having patches put on my back every day with big blisters breaking out on me. And then eventually my whole body broke out as if I had German measles.
And people didn't recognize you. In fact, they steered away from you when you went to the mess hall.
When I went to the mess hall, they refused to sit down beside me, afraid it was contagious. That it would get something, so they had to feed me on the blocks. You know what I mean? This is how bad it was. Then after you get out of jail, they got me controlled. Then when I got out, it broke out again in the street. I had nowhere to go to. They had no aftercare in place for, that you could go for refuge or for treatment. So I wound up going to the PGH. And when I did finally get there,
PGH?
It was the Philadelphia General Hospital. And it's no longer in existence. But my hands and feet, the stuff that was in my whole body came down to my hands and feet. My hands were big as 8-ounce boxing gloves. I would wear a 10.5 shoe. I couldn't get my foot in a 14 triple A when they took me in there. And they had me hospitalized for a whole month. And I had to be treated twice for this. Here lately, I haven't got no positive diagnosis of what I got wrong with me. It's something in my blood. I break out every time the weather gets warm. I break out again. They give me a little salve to bring it under control, but I never get rid of it.
In addition to the physical and emotional trauma of having gone through this, the African-American community seems to be distrustful of the American medical system in general, not because just this, but also because of Tuskegee, the syphilis experiments, and other things. Talk a little bit about that.
The African-American community is very reluctant to deal with doctors in the medical community. They have very low rates of participation in contributions on body parts and transplants and visiting doctors and what have you. And it's not just the Tuskegee syphilis study, which is probably the most infamous case of unethical medicine, but all of these other cases that are out there that maybe haven't digested in the American Caucasian mind. But for example, in Philadelphia, unfortunately, there are so many African Americans who have had relatives who went through Holmesburg for that quarter century. They have heard bright, creative guy. And right away, you know, he recognized the potential for research medicine. He sees an institution with 1,200 people, and as he thought to himself and said many times over and over, there were acres of skin in there that you could use for medical experimentation. So he meets with the superintendent of the prison subsequent to that, and he says, I think I can help you out. Maybe you can help me. And over a handshake, they develop a system that runs for a quarter century where the inmates are basically farmed out to the University of Pennsylvania and this doctor who will coordinate all of these experiments. Initially, I think they were rudimentary academic studies, but then you have the pharmaceutical become part of sort of contract labor that we had in the last part of the 19th century in the Deep South is happening in the North, with prison systems being turned over to doctors in the medical community.
Did some tests pay better, and were there red flags that this one pays better, it's probably also more dangerous?
Exactly. The tests that the Army brought in, the Pentagon, they built trailers in between the blocks with padded cells in them. And they start experimenting with warfare agent chemicals. The first test on LSD was done on the inmates in there. They put them in padded cells, and you can...
Okay, I'm going to stop the video because the screen sharing keeps stopping, and it's not doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. But I'm going to go over this information regardless. So Johnson & Johnson, you know, they are, I think they're with the baby stuff, right? So they have something called No More Tears, where I think it's a shampoo, where you go ahead and, you know, give your baby, you wash the hair, and if the soap, whatever gets in the eyes, then it doesn't, you're not going to cry. It's not going to burn your eyes, so it's not going to cry. Well, you have to ask yourself, well, where did they come up with this at? Where did they come up with it? It didn't use an animal. They used a human being. They used our people. They used our people. And they suffered. Sometimes our people were paid up to $3. For the No More Tears, they were paid $3 to have their eyes held open with clamps and hooks while they were dropping the little droplets of the liquid into your eyes to see whether or not that you were going to cry from it. In 2011, mothers of newborns were arrested when their babies was tested positive for exposure to cannabis, which was a false result caused by the use of Johnson & Johnson's head-to-toe foaming baby wash. Mothers went to jail because of false determination from these chemicals. So, you know, you taking your baby into the doctor, and the doctor is running tests and this and that, and it comes back, oh, you've been giving your baby marijuana. You've been doing this, you've been doing that. And so you get arrested and charged, and you don't know nothing about that. But it's from Johnson & Johnson. Young men have undergone mastectomies to remove breast from the results of Johnson & Johnson antipsychotics. And this also was used. And they use these, you got to remember, they have what is called brand name, and then they have generics. So the brand name gets good stuff, and the generics get similar stuff. And that's why they quote unquote says the off brand or the generic is supposed to be cheaper. Now they also had cancer causing chemicals in the Johnson & Johnson No More Tears baby shampoo. Now, I know growing up, my mom, my aunts, everywhere I saw it was Johnson & Johnson products for when, you know, a new baby was there. Now, after years and years, Johnson & Johnson finally removed some of the negative stuff that they had in their shampoo. So it says that the only hint that something is different inside the millions of bottles of Johnson baby shampoo arriving on stores and shelves are two words: improved formula. Improved formula. So formaldehyde was one and oxidane was the other. And these are two cancer-causing products that were in there, and it did not get removed until the end of 2013. So it was in there since the 60s, 70s, but didn't get removed till 2013. Johnson & Johnson was aware that these are cancer-causing agents, but they did not decide to do the right thing, which would be to remove the cancer-causing agents to keep you safe, to keep your babies safe. There is no such thing using these chemicals that's going to keep you and your baby safe. We have to go and get real natural products, because the less chemical stuff that you're using, the better off you are. And trust and believe, just like they used that brother in prison that we were trying to watch the video of, and he was saying what kind of stuff he had to deal with and what were some of the side effects that he had to deal with. These things are real. And it's not a game. It's not a joke. I'm going to try and put up one of the pictures so you can see what their body looked like from the Johnson & Johnson. Because some people say, well, white people from yesterday is different from white people of today. But that's not true. That's not true. General Amherst was doing chemical warfare with the quote-unquote Indians. He sent blankets with smallpox in there and gave it to the Indians. That's chemical warfare. They did it yesterday. They're still doing it today. I don't recall the year, but it was sometime in the 2000s when they did the experiment on black children in lead paint in Baltimore, where they gave poor black people free new housing, nice apartment complex. Very, very nice. And it was free if you had children. And there was only one thing that you had to do. And that one thing is, if your child gets sick, take them to this clinic and that clinic only. And that is something that should have, you know, bing, 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 bing. Something's wrong. But the bells and whistles wasn't going off in our people's mind because they were asleep to the people that they're dealing with, to the demons that they are dealing with. See, you got to understand that they're not like you. They're not like us. You wouldn't go and give a disease to people. How do you think AIDS become rampant in Africa? It was not because some brother had sex with a monkey. That's the lie that they tell you about the origin of AIDS. That ain't true. The cracker was looking for a cure to polio. He was looking for a cure to polio. And he was using white children and sticking their ass with it. And the parents was like, oh, no, you ain't going to keep doing this, because their children was getting tore up. So they was like, no, you ain't doing this. So he had to stop and figure out, well, where am I going to go now? Where can I go and the government won't say shit? That they'll let me get away with it, because I gotta find this cure. He jumped up. He went over to Africa. Forget which country that he went to, but he went over there. And next thing you know, we got AIDS running rampant. And they tell you the lie that a black man was sleeping with a monkey, and that's how AIDS came up. Ain't no such thing. Ain't no such thing. They have this drug called Bidal, and you can search it. And the way they were first, it's a heart medication, and the way that they were first selling it, you know, putting it out there, brand name drug, they noticed that, okay, it's working better in black people versus white people. Now, this is the story, quote unquote, that they tell, because when the pharmaceutical rep came to our pharmacy and she was telling me about it, of course, I'm listening and I'm asking questions, because there's no way in the world, because she wanted us to tell our doctor offices, yeah, to prescribe this, prescribe that. And I'm like, there's no way in the world that black doctor offices are going to prescribe this, especially if you tell them this is made for black people. They're not going to prescribe that shit. Ain't no way in the world. Don't you know the history of what we had endured as a people, that all of a sudden that we're going to take your word and say, oh, okay, well, this works better on black people than it does on white people. Then I asked her, I said, well, how long did y'all run the tour? Did y'all run the test just to see how effective it is on black people? And she says, well, we never completed the test. And I said, wait a minute. You want me to tell black doctors to use this drug for our people with heart problems, and then it's going to work better in them than it does in white people? That this drug is specially made for black people? I said, you ain't going to find that. They not going to do that. Ain't nowhere in the world would they do that. And black people ain't going to trust it. When you say that this is what is specially made for black people, and it's gonna help cure, quote unquote, cure their heart disease problem. But real quick, I found this picture for the brother who was suffering from the dioxide. Now, if you one of those queasy stomachs, look away, because it doesn't look good. It ain't that bad, but it doesn't look good. Now, this is what broke out on his body. As you can see his fingernails, as they were saying how thick his fingernails was. And look at that. All over his legs, all over his body. From experimentation. From experimentation. And they don't tell you that this is what's going to happen. But how much money did Johnson & Johnson products make? And he's still suffering this to this very day. He's still suffering this. Where is Johnson & Johnson? They're making big money, but he's going through the pain. And they're like, hey, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Now, not only was Johnson & Johnson a part of this, but it was also Dow Corning. It was also the United States military. It was also Big Pharma. They do studies. Don't forget Tuskegee. Oh, we want to see how syphilis affects the niggas. Can the niggas survive syphilis without being treated? But these are the people you call your friend. These are the people that you would call your friend. Don't you understand? They could never be your friend. They will never, ever be your friend. Never. We built America. Without us, there would be no America. But after slavery, we built 67 towns. In none of those 67 towns or cities did we have the help of one cracker. We did it ourselves. We did it ourselves, independent of their help. Can they say the same? No, they can't say the same, but we can. Now, those cities that we built, for the most part, torn down, busted down, burned out. But we have shown that we were able to live before they came into existence. We were able to live even right up after slavery. We were able to go out and build our own cities and towns without their assistance. We don't need them. It's clear that they need us. So you got to ask yourself today, what is your judgment? How has white America treated you? You think about that city. You think about Flint, Michigan. The whole city. Poison. Children. Adults. Seniors. Poison. The governor knew. He was passing out water to his people. But nothing but denials to our people in Flint, Michigan. Nothing but denials. This is a systematic thing. It doesn't just happen in one part of the city or one part of the state or one part of the country. This system happens all over. And you got to ask yourself, do you want this for your children? Because this is what it's going to come down to. What do you want for your child? Should your child get the same thing that white children get? Should your child be protected? Should your child grow up in an environment that is conducive for their best learning so that they can be all that they desire to be? What are we getting? What is the product that these American schools are putting out? What kind of person is these schools making of our children? What kind of learning? You know, if you think about Uber and you think about Lyft. Is that something new? When I was growing up in Philadelphia, they would call it the hack. Well, I'm going to get me a hack man and he take me here or take me there. Give him $5, $6. And that's how you get around. White dudes say, oh, shit, we can use that. They call it a hack. Well, we're going to call it Uber. Or we're going to call it Lyft. That's your idea. That's our idea. That's what we've been doing. The enemy seen it and take it for itself. Nothing new. Nothing new. So we got to understand that everything the enemy has is because we gave it. It's because we taught it. You think about the different inventions. Everyday inventions. Light bulb. Black man. What do you say, Ray? Stoplight. Black man. Open heart surgery. What'd you say? Blood transfusion. Automobile. Bus. That's us. That's us. Super Soaker. Jack Daniels. That's us. But they get the credit. They steal the credit off of our work. Now it's time for you to make your decision. What is your judgment of white America? Has white America been a good friend to you? Has white America done by you what it should have done? No, it hasn't. It hasn't. We built this. And it's time for us to go and build our own. That's why this project to Mississippi is so important. Because we have the natural ability and the natural talents to make it happen. We don't need the enemy. The enemy needs us. But they don't respect us. They don't respect us. They see us and treat us as a tool for their advancement and our destruction. So we have to be intelligent enough that we can say, no more. No more. It's not going to happen. We're not going to let it go. Your time is up. It's our time now. War is not pretty. It is what it is. It's war. In the next upcoming video, I'm going to talk about Antifa. And Antifa is this leftist group, leftist organization. And they get out there and they'll fight the KKK and whatever else. And I see a few of our people looking to join up with Antifa. And I tell you, no, that's not where you belong. You let Antifa fight what they fight. That's it. You let them go fight that. You got your own fight. You sit back and you learn. But you let Antifa do exactly what they need to do. You let them fight. Let them whoop their ass. And you can sit back and enjoy it. There was a video that I commented on the other day, and it was a few black brothers driving in a car. And the guy that they had in the back seat of the car supposedly either shot up or shot at the trap house. And so the people in the trap house was out, and they, the car pulled up. And so they was getting at him, trying to get him to come out and fight. And the brother wouldn't fight. And I said to the fact that, you have two victims fighting, assaulting each other. And it shouldn't happen. I said, if the brother shot up the trap house, he should be held accountable. But if you selling drugs to your people, you too will be held accountable. Because wrong is not wrong. Wrong, you're not going to excuse somebody else's wrong for your wrong. It's all wrong, and it all has to come to a stop. See, because you got to understand that there's a bigger enemy, that we have all this guts and bravado to fight each other. But when the real enemy come on the scene, where's your fight then? It disappears. You ain't got no rah, rah, rah when you're dealing with the enemy. And you gotta have that rah, 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 because you can defeat him, because he's weak. He's weak. But you gotta stop killing each other. You gotta stop fighting each other. You gotta stop doing wrong to each other. And if you don't stop on your own, then it's our job. Then it's our job to punish you for doing wrong. And I'm telling you, we will do that. We will do that. You will get it right, or you will die trying. It's just that simple. We're not going to accept you selling drugs to our people any longer. We're not going to accept that. If you can't find yourself to be good on top of the ground, then we'll put you under the ground, and then we'll find some use, or the earth will find some use for your body. But you're not going to get away with terrorizing our people. That's not going to continue. You're not going to get away with that. You're not going to get away with robbing and beating up our people. They're victims like you. You are a born victim and you don't even know it. That's why it's important. That's why we are getting our messages out, and we're putting them on DVD, we're putting them on CD, and we're giving them away to you free. Because we're letting you know that there's a time coming very soon, very, very soon, that you will be dealt with for killing your people. We're not going to accept it from you, and we're not going to accept it from the enemy either. Coming up this summer, sometime during this summer, I'm going to give a speech at the press club in DC. We're looking into the dates to try to nail this down. As I was down here in the living room a few days ago, and it came to me, go to the press club and talk about what is the Black agenda. And so everything that I have done by the inspiration of the Most High, or I've seen it in a vision. I don't even know how to get in the goddamn press club. But that's what I was told to do. So sometime this summer, we will have a talk at the press club in DC. And I will give you the Black agenda. Now, some of y'all may say that nigga's crazy as hell. But no, your brother ain't crazy. Every time I have done what I was inspired to do, it has always come out correct. And so I'm going to follow that. I'm going to follow that. And it'll come out fine. And we'll be fine. But this is a new day. This is a new day. We're not waiting. We're not pleading for anybody to give us our seat at the table. God damn it, we make the table. And we enforce our rule. It's just that simple. That's why I can tell you that we're not going to tolerate that foolishness any longer. I'm warning you now, very nicely, to get it together. Because your day of that bullshit is over. You will be held accountable. You're not going to get away. Just like the enemy. is not going to get away. There are as many issues that we have had tonight on this one live that I've never had these many issues on any live that I've ever done. I've never had this many problems. The enemy knows his time is up. He knows it. He recognizes it. And he recognizes that our time is now. And he recognized that the message that we bring is unlike any other. He understands that, and so do we. So the fight is on. The fight is on. And we're going to win. Simple as that. We will win. Because we were born to do this. This is not a work for those who are, faint at heart. Everything that we do, we're not going to get it right the first time. We're not. But everything we do is we're doing it from a position of what is right for our people. And so we'll stumble here and there. We may trip and fall. But we got one another to help pull us back up. That's why you see we build organization. See, the reason why Zaza or Sinetta and all the other crooks are not held accountable is because they're individuals. They're individuals. But we build organization. An organization can hold individuals. Because organizations, we can hold individuals accountable within and without. And we plan on doing both. This is Black First. This is not a game. We are building our army, our military, our militia, however you want to call it. And we're going to do what needs to be done. And our goal or our guidance is truth. It's truth. We're not going to submit our truth for anybody's lies. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. When we say we're going to build something or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. Because our people, you have the right to expect people to do what they say. That's your right. And people should not say what they have no intention of doing. So we say we're going to give you a city. Then we're going to give you a county. And eventually another city. And another city. Then another county. And another city. And another city. And so on and so on. Till we give you a state. Till we give you a country. Regardless to whom or what. You deserve this. And we deserve to give it to you. And you deserve to help us get it. Because there'll be no sidelines. We showed a video, I think it was last week. Well, last week, right? 3-4 days ago. And we were showing this white girl, Shucks, and how she had the nerve to go on a Black Power post on Instagram and begin to give instructions of what shouldn't be and what should be said. See, she thinks that she has some type of privilege that she can step to a Black Power person, a pro-Black post, a Black First post, and give direction. That's crazy as hell. But she didn't care because of her arrogance. Because of her arrogance. Now, you'll have some white folk like Antifa and others that believe in fairness and equality. You'll find that. Or they'll find you. You let them do their thing. There was the Italian white guy who did the video of, I support Maurice Muhammad. And, you know, that's good. Okay. We didn't ask you for your support, but you support. No problem. You do your thing. He did a video. The thing that ticked me off in his video was that he said, I give you my permission. That's the shit pissed me off. Because it was like, nigga, I didn't ask you for your permission. So how are you going to give me something I didn't ask for? We don't need your permission. We're going to get it done regardless. Ain't no such. So that was the thing. But you will find white people that do support what we do. That do support what we do. You'll find them uploading our videos. You'll find them dropping by and, you know, leaving a good comment on our videos. Okay, it's the truth. Shouldn't they bow down and bear witness to the truth? They should. But you got to remember who you are. See, a lot of people on Shuck's videos that are black, she has a very huge black audience. And they, oh, because she talking about black issues. Oh, yeah, she's this and she's that. She's that. She's the devil. She is the devil. But you forget that. And then she get confident enough to tell you what you should say and what you don't say. She's just using you, tricking you. You tell her this, then won't you go out there and kill for me? Go kill for me then. If you on our side, how many bodies you gonna take out? Go kill for me. Let us see your work. Let us see you beyond your talk. She ain't gonna do a goddamn thing. See, Antifa, they gonna fight. Antifa gonna fight. That's why I like them. I sit back and I applaud them. You ain't gonna catch me on the goddamn line out there with them. But you'll catch me applauding them and saying, hey, go kill some more of them or go beat some more of them. You'll find me doing that. And you should do that. But that's it. We will never forget who we are and who they are. A lot of people like to say, well, we're all human. We're all human. All white people ain't bad. Well, I don't say all white people are human. I will say white people have the potential to be human. They have the potential to be humane. That's a reality. They have a potential to be humane. And I know in our teachings, it tells us that a remnant of them will make it into the hereafter because they are good and they do good. But don't you waste your time going to go look, oh, this one must be good. And then you trying that one and that one bites you. I don't want you wasting your time doing that. Because if they got work to do, their work is not working amongst ours. Their work is working amongst theirs to get theirs in line. Not us. They can't lead us. Understand that. They cannot lead us. They can lead their own, but not us. Not us. Now, some of you who know my history know that I worked with an organization called Open Carry Texas. And, you know, the liberal media at one point was trying to make a whooping boy out of me, saying that I sold out and all this foolishness. Because I've always thought and knew that we got to have a militia. And if you're going to offer our people free training when they can get that and it's legal, hell yeah, I'm going to take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. Because you need to be able to shoot straight. You need to be able to shoot straight. And that was before military endeavors. See, we're growing. We're growing. And we don't compromise. We don't compromise. You're not going to be, look, you are already free. You were born free. Take it from you, and he can't drain it. Okay. So again, they just shut down and then pops back open. It's always an issue. It's always an issue. But, you know, you're going to learn to shoot straight. Every facet of military life, you're going to learn. You're going to learn. And, you know, rejoice. Rejoice. Because the freedom you were born with, you'll use that same freedom to go out and build. And you ain't got to worry about it because you can be all right. We're going to be all right. As a people, we're going to be fine. We'll be fine. Just do not compromise. Don't trade. Be black first. Because in that is your safety net. In that is your security. In that is your blessing. In that you will find real love. You'll find real companionship. You'll find real brotherhood and real sisterhood. So again, you know, come on, make your way over to the initiative. You can send us an email, and that would be the Freedom Initiative 2019 at gmail.com. Again, that is the Freedom Initiative 2019 at gmail.com, and put in the subject line, new applicant, and we'll send you out an application and a fact sheet, and you'll see you will be okay. You'll be okay because we're Black first all the way. And we're going into some doors where we're going into territory that's new. It's new. It's new for us. It's new for us. But we're smart enough to make it happen. We're smart enough to make it happen. And we're bold enough to do it. Not just think about it. Not just come before the world and say we're going to do it, but to do it. The enemy ain't got shit on us. This is our time now. So I thank you, family, for bearing with me as we went through our many struggles for tonight. Oh, yeah. And if you want to contact us, you can call us at 937-553-2462. That's 937-553-2462. And you can always give us a call at that number. And we are definitely here for you. I just want you to understand that this is real. What other choice do you have? To continue the same old thing that's been going? Running, ducking, dodging, continue to be in an oppressive environment? Or come on out of her and join up with your people and build a reality that's based on freedom, justice, and equality. And you don't even have to worry about the enemy. You ain't even got to worry about it. You done served America. Now come on and serve yourself. Do something for yourself. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that what I'm giving you is a wake-up message. Well, he has given us a wake-up message. Now that we are woke, we got work to do. Accept your own and be yourself. Black first all the way. And family, we're going to build this new reality. And we will be the envy of everyone's eye. Because they say, God damn. Them Black first niggas, they actually done it. You're damn right. Because this is what we were born to do. Love you, family. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, peace and blessings. And again, thank you for maintaining with us through all the difficulties that we've had tonight to get this message out. But we will be back tomorrow and hopefully no issues. Peace and blessings. One love.